Hi, I'm Ed Loftus. I'm a gastroenterologist at Mayo Clinic specializing in the care of patients with Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. And I wanted to share my thoughts to you about the pros and cons of why patients might want to enter clinical trials of new drugs for inflammatory bowel disease. So what are the pros? Well, the pros are you might get access to a drug literally years before it becomes commercially available. You get watched by your medical providers more carefully, and it turns out that patients in clinical trials, regardless of whether they're on study drug or placebo, tend to do better than patients not in clinical trials because they're coming in for frequent study visits, they're being observed, adjustments are being made, and this is called the Hawthorn Effect. So people under closer observation actually do better regardless of what drug they're on. What are some of the other pros? Well, usually when you're in a trial, the study visits and the study tests and procedures associated with the study are usually paid for by the sponsor of the trial. And many trials, while they won't completely reimburse you for travel and lodging, usually pay some type of compensation at the end of the trial for your trouble for participating in the trial. So there's a little bit of a monetary gain at the end of the trial. Also, many trials are very patient-friendly in the sense that you're under the blinded phase of placebo versus drug for a relatively short period of time, and if you can get through that short period of time and you're still not doing well, there's a second phase of the trial where you usually get open-label drug, so you actually know you're receiving the study drug. And then in many trials, if you're responding to that open label drug, you can stay on that drug until the agent becomes commercially approved. So for many patients, this is a huge win. Now, what are the cons? Well, the cons are people don't like to feel like they're a guinea pig. Well, it depends on what phase of a trial you're participating in. If you're in a phase 1 trial, which means you're one of the first human beings to receive the drug, I can sort of understand that. But generally in a phase 2 or a phase 3 trial, at least you know that a certain number of patients have in fact received the drug before you have, so you really aren't a complete guinea pig. And again, as I was mentioning earlier, if you're not doing well in many of these trials, if you can get through the first 12 weeks or so, then you go into a second phase where you actually have access to the open label drug. What are some of the other cons? Well, if you're part of it is just the logistics. If you live 4 hours away from the study center, most of these trials have very fixed dates for study visits, like you might have to come in every 2 weeks for the first 12 weeks, but then generally in these studies the frequency of the visits decreases as time goes on. So part of it is just, do you live close enough to the study center to participate in the trial? Anyway, food for thought. I can think of many patients who participated in trials and literally got on a drug 4 to 5 years before it was commercially approved for IBD, and it's just something to think about. Thanks.